A personal failure that nobody knows about.
Why don't more people embrace that?
They just don't know. There's no perfect first step. Momentum is the first step. You could be doing almost anything.
That
was a breakthrough.
Right, that was a breakthrough.
I'm dreaming, oh, I believe in this dream I've been dreaming, oh, I'm dreaming, oh, I believe in this dream I've been dreaming, oh.
So this is a special episode. I have a series on my channel on me getting to 10 million subscribers and blowing my business up. And typically I've brought people on to give me advice on like what I'm missing and where I need to grow and where I suck. And I was thinking back to you guys and what I liked about our interview. We did an interview way back when I was just starting my tour in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
And it was only supposed to be a 20-minute interview or something. It turned into an hour or something. And I really liked how you focused on taking off the shine. And along my path to get to 10 million subscribers and build a bigger business, I wanted to also show the rust and like where I'm screwing up and what it's like to do it, not just the fancy, oh, look at the growth.
Yeah.
So I thought, hey, bring these guys back from the Hyperconscious podcast. Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Right? And you can help my audience, help your audience as well, take off the shine on my growth. And these guys drove up from Massachusetts to Toronto, Canada to be here.
Yes.
So welcome and take it away, man.
We appreciate you for having us, number one. Number two, we were doing research today. We were doing a bunch of research so we could ask the best questions possible. So before we get started, just for our listeners as well as your viewers, what to you does it mean to actually remove the shine from something? What is the shine about Evan Carmichael?
I think it's just what people see. I think it's the fancy, it's the effects, even here, we're sitting here in my studio, we've got 3 lights on us and 4 cameras and 3 microphones, and people often only see the fancy finished product, but I'm okay just starting from a cell phone, right? And just showing the stuff that isn't so fancy because that makes it seem real for people, and that I'm not so far away from what you guys can do too, or like for the listeners, what they can do too. And so asking those questions, I don't remember all the questions you guys asked me the first time, but I remember loving the vibe and the style. So I thought, okay, round 2, let's go, see what they got.
Well, here we are.
I remember you challenged us. You said, I want to be on for episode 250.
Okay.
At the time when we interviewed you, we were only doing 2 a week. So we were doing, I believe, Scratching the Surface, which was just Kevin and I picking a topic, going off on it. And then we had a world-class performing guest that we want to pull back the curtain. So the key of our show is pulling back the curtain on what it really takes to succeed. So I prepared some questions for you, and I'm going to read them right off here. So
He's going first. He's just diving in. I like it.
Personally, I've started to adopt the phrase, no one will out-fail me. Everyone knows that failure is quote-unquote a necessary part of the process, but it's much easier to say it than to go through it and grow through it. In an effort to remove the shine, what is one major personal failure that you've endured that no one knows about? And what about you is different or better because of it?
That no one knows about. Wow, I don't know about that. That's interesting. I don't know, dude. There's a lot of failures that have happened along the way. A personal failure that nobody knows about. It's probably not that big of one because I'm happy to talk about the things that I struggle with. What an opening question that nobody knows about. Danny. I guess Danny wouldn't know. I can't use my guy. So then he wouldn't know. I think some people know about it, but believe as much as it's my one word and my greatest strength, it's also my greatest weakness in that believing that I'm capable of getting to the next level is always the problem. So why has my brand not blown up as much as somebody else or what I'm capable of? It's because I don't believe I'm capable of it yet. And every time I make a leap in my mindset of I'm capable, then stuff starts to happen. So even the point of this series is I want to get to a bigger brand, and I have people push me on, hey, Evan, here's what you suck at that you need to really focus on getting better at, and trying to show that publicly so that people can also learn and see where I'm struggling and what I'm working on, because it's easy for people to think that I've got it all figured out.
Do you believe in this moment that 10 million, your road to 10 million subscribers is possible?
It's possible for sure. how do I ramp it up faster?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think that, so this is one of the questions I was going to ask, but marketing is basically making things look better than they actually are. And I think you're unbelievably honest and you always give the truth. Do you think that being that way versus people who only show the shine all the time, they're only showing the positive side, do you think it takes longer to get to your goals that way versus somebody who just kind of is winning because they're lying about what it takes?
I don't know that I would define marketing that way, that it's making things look better than they actually are. And I also don't think that it has to be, you have to lie to get to success. I think honestly, for a lot of people, just telling your story and being authentic is the path for people to connect to you. I think there is a model where you can say, hey, look at me on my fancy jet that's rented, or you just go in and take a picture of, and that'll attract some people. But I think there's a lot of people who also would be attracted to you for the things that you're most afraid of. And being willing to say that I'm scared of XYZ makes you relatable. And I think actually brings the right kind of people to you.
Well, I went to episode number 1
Okay.
on your YouTube today.
Oh, great.
And I was showing
Walt
Alan.
Disney.
But
Yep.
it's interesting because the people who were there 10 years ago are still kind of vibing with you. And I think it's because of who you are. I think it's because they connected to you.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been that person. I think I've been more open with time, just with more confidence and courage. And especially in the early days, I felt, well, who am I? Like, why do you care about my story? I mean, yes, I built and sold the company, but it's nothing compared to Walt Disney or Steve Jobs or Oprah or the people I profile. But the number one request for a top 10 was always on me.
Right.
And it was only until my fans made one for me, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, because I would never do one on myself. And then maybe 2 years ago, I started doing them on me, which was weird.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, all
Right.
we'll just do it. And they do well. So it's just a willingness to say that your story matters and that people can learn from the journey that you're on. So I've never lied, but it's definitely been a version of myself that's become more and more. It's funny, as I've gotten more and more polished, it's also been more and more real at the same time.
Right.
Interesting.
So I'm better as a speaker. I'm better as a thought leader. My thoughts are more crisp and clear. My content is way better than it used to be. I started a new series on my channel of 2016 Evan versus 2019 Evan, right? Or like 2014 versus 20. It's me saying a similar point, but you get to see how the older, because I want to show where I came from. Show that it's possible. Like that took me 3 years to do that, but maybe you can get there faster, right?
So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was you struggle to believe in yourself, and that's why it's ironic that was your word. And at one point, you had trouble believing in yourself. So I watched that video as well. The beginning of it, you were in a suit, and just a second ago, you said that that's not how I would define marketing. My first question is, how would you define marketing now, knowing what you know?
Yeah.
And then the second question is, I think one of your greatest strengths is if you believe in yourself and do the things that you're scared of, it'll encourage other people to do that as well. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a lot to unpack on that one. I don't think it's actually ironic that I struggled to believe in myself. I think whatever your most important core value is, whatever your one word is, it is your greatest strength and greatest weakness. And everything, like whatever yours is, if it's trust or strength or whatever, the thing that's holding you back is you don't trust enough. It's always going to be the gateway to your next level. I guess to the outside world, it might seem ironic, but that actually is the path to you getting everything that you want.
You don't trust enough? Can you go deeper on that? Trust in what?
No, whatever your one word is. Like, what's your most important core value?
Legacy.
Great. So you don't believe in your legacy enough.
Interesting.
It's your greatest strength and your greatest weakness. It's gotten you where you are now, but if you actually want to have a bigger legacy, you have to believe in that capability more.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah,
So even
absolutely.
if you position yourself as the legacy guy, you're going to help people find their legacy, but that's still the thing that you're constantly fighting every day, to have a bigger version of your legacy.
That is very true, especially because in order to have a bigger legacy, a lot of times it does sometimes take me away from some of the more common ways to live your life that maybe would make me feel more connected to certain people in my life. So I resonate with that. That
was a breakthrough.
Right, that was a breakthrough.
Well, and always will be, right? I mean, so, and what's yours? What's your
Resilience.
great? So, like, here's the greatest thing for someone like you. Someone would look at you and say, "Man, you're so resilient. You're doing so much. You've packed so much into your life. You'll do whatever it takes." But for you now, where you're at now, it's pretty easy.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not actually that resilient. Not for you. Not anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There's still 18 more levels of resiliency that you need to go through to get to where you need to be.
Wow.
So even though you're the resilience guy, it's nothing. Like it was a journey and it's amazing, but
Right.
now it's comfortable. Now it's just okay. Now it's not actually pushing yourself to be resilient. Not anymore. And to everybody else looking at you, they'll say, "Man, that's so resilient." It's like, yeah. But if you just stay where you are now, you're not going to like your life.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
very. So one thing that I really admire about you is, and I think you did a video recently about this. When things are going really bad,
Yeah.
you don't say like, this sucks. You're positive about it and you're grateful and thankful for it. Can you go into why, when everything seems to be hitting the fan, you're stuck in traffic, why does that matter to you, and how do you turn that into a positive?
So in the short term, like it's happening right now, I'll say it's the best. This is the best. Because one, just logically, if you're living in a land of negativity and pessimism and you get overwhelmed, you get frustrated by this thing, you're not going to lead to a good solution. You know, if you're positive, optimistic, and resourceful and resilient, you'll find a better way through. So just in a short term, that makes sense. But the longer term is just on your psyche. You know, I care about the mindset. And so you're frustrated and like you let a red light own you. Right? Like that's what you're capable of? Mr. Resiliency gets thrown off by a red light? Are you kidding me? Right? Like
Yeah.
that's what I'll tell myself, right? So, you know, I broke my neck on my tour and I had to wear a neck brace for 60 days. And I can only take it off for 10 minutes every day to have a shower. And then in the shower, I'm not moving, right? Like I don't want to do anything to my neck. So 60 days, sleeping, everything in this crazy neck brace. And there was 2 of them, and I kept them. I still have them in my office when I'm filming my content. And whenever something negative happens, I look at them as a reminder. It's like, this is what's overwhelming me. Like I wore this neck brace. I finished my tour with a broken neck for another month before going home and seeing my doctors and everything. And I'm frustrated that the video didn't record when I pressed the button, right?
Yeah.
Like it just
Been there.
It's perspective.
yeah, and it's just I want to remind myself. I want to remind myself that this is the best. This is the best. It's the best that I'm capable of this and a lot more. And it just puts you into such a better mood, but also the positivity, the self-talk, right? So I've also asked the people in my life to remind me of this. So my wife, my son. When I was on the tour, we're driving through Texas, and there's this giant cow field in northern Texas, and I'd never seen so many cows in my life. And we're driving through, and like, man, these cows are like it's miles, all nonstop cows. Never seen so many cows in my life. And then 30 seconds later, the smell hits you of just miles of cows, right? And it's coming in. It's like, oh man, what is that smell? That is nasty. And so now what are we gonna do, right? I mean, we can't roll down the windows. That's not gonna help. We're driving through. We should have turned off the AC,
Right.
a while back. We didn't. So what are we gonna do? My wife then turns to me and says, "This is the best." It's like, you're right. Right? Like breathe it in. Like this cow smell is not gonna own me. I'm
Right.
stronger than this. And so I'll complain for 8.5 seconds, and then just it flips in my head that this is the best, and it again helps you in that short-term situation to have more confidence and power and positivity and actually solve the problem instead of complaining about it. But the more you do that, the more it feeds into your psyche that I can conquer anything,
Yeah.
dude. Like,
Well, even when we said we drove up from Boston, you were
Yeah.
like, oh, that's not that bad of a ride.
Yeah.
And
Right.
when we were telling people we're driving, they're like, why are you guys driving to Toronto? Well, we
Yeah.
get to sit down in person with Evan Carmichael.
Yeah.
Like, you would drive too if this was your goal. So I think you just know more so than a lot of people what you're actually capable of because you've grown so much.
Yeah.
Watching episode 1, Evan, was mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
Of
Okay.
you. And
Great.
the point that I wanted to make for not you, because I know you know it, but the listeners and the viewers is,
Yeah.
if they were to start today, their current version is going to be your episode 1. So what can really push them through the looking at that and saying like, oh, this isn't very good, to saying like, this is episode 1 of 10,000? Like, what is the mindset that they can use to kind of push through that initial quote unquote failure?
Whenever you start something new, expect to suck. That's it. Expect to suck.
Yeah.
Accept episode 1 of anything to suck. Expect your first time into the gym to suck. You're going to lift 8 pounds and put it down.
Yeah.
You're going to run for 5 minutes and then be gassed, right? You're going to suck. Expect to suck. The problem is people expect to be great out of the gate. I think if you're great from day 1, you should have started 5 years ago.
Right. You overcooked the turkey.
Like, you suck.
Right.
You should have done it way longer ago, right? So if you don't suck at the beginning, that's actually a problem. You're supposed to suck at the beginning. So I want to suck at the beginning, and I want to keep. A lot of people delete their first videos because it's not polished, and like, oh my god, I'm so. You should be embarrassed by your first thing.
Yeah.
And at the same time, feel amazing.
Right. That you did it.
Like, yeah, and you posted it.
Right.
Right. There's a guy who emailed me right now just before coming on here, and I was on his podcast. I was the first episode on his podcast, and since then he's gone on and done 25 more episodes. Now he's ready to launch a show. He wanted to have 25 in the can, and he's interviewed some big guys. And he said, "Hey, Evan, thank you for being my first guest. I'm looking back and realized, man, I grew so much over the past 25. I'm kind of embarrassed by the one that we did together and the questions I asked. Can we do it again?" Like, are you kidding me? No. Be embarrassed. That's the best. What are you talking about?
Right.
Right?
Yeah. I love it.
Congrats that you grew so much in 25 episodes. I'll come back for episode 250. We'll
Right.
do it again. We're not redoing episode 1, right?
Yeah.
Like, you got to own how much you suck and be proud that you're putting it out. So I expect to suck. You should. Your first video should suck. Your first podcast should suck.
Oh, it did.
The first draft, as they say, is for the trash, but not actually get rid of it. Post it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
The first draft is for public consumption. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Share it. Let people see it.
My very first YouTube video is Real Life Superheroes video, and whenever someone comes to me and says, I'm scared, I'm freaking out, I want to try this thing, one of my friends reached out and said, I want to do my first photo shoot.
Okay.
I send my video. I say, look at me 2.5, 3 years ago when I first started my YouTube channel. Like, you have to do this.
Yeah.
You got this. You can do this. And I never took that down, and I never will, because I want to be able to keep sending that to people and seeing it's the process that makes the person. One of the things that I wanted to ask you, I'm going to go to the flashcards here. So
Flashcards.
This is a question. This is what I told him was my favorite question.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, to date.
I don't know what it is, so I'm interested.
He told you, dude. He
No,
already told
well,
you.
he told me what it was.
The last time we got to interview you, I remember how blown away I was by your ability to rapidly and effectively articulate success principles in a way that I had never heard them before.
Okay.
I review every episode in an effort to improve, and each time I learn and improve. But this time was a little different. You said something that I have since quoted over a dozen times. You said, and this was kind of in passing, by the way, which is the
Okay.
interesting part.
Okay.
You said, if you haven't suffered, you're just not capable of great things.
Okay.
You're just not motivated enough. Okay, here's my question. In an effort to remove the shine, why do you believe so many people deny and never truly embrace the fundamental truth? And what can we each do to actually leverage the very real and inevitable darkness? So you said if you haven't suffered, you're not capable of great things. Why don't more people embrace that?
They just don't know. How many people are walking around saying, "What's my purpose? What's my passion? What am I supposed to do?" That's most of the world. Definitely most of America. But your purpose comes from your pain.
Right.
Whatever you suffered with the most is what you want to help other people overcome.
And that's become very obvious to us because we interview people.
Right.
Yeah.
And when someone has clarity on their mission, it's very clearly at one point their biggest insecurity, their biggest pain. For you, it was not believing in yourself. Is that true?
Yeah, and then specifically for entrepreneurship. Like, I struggled so much as an entrepreneur.
Right.
I could believe in anybody, and I love it, but especially entrepreneurs.
Right.
Because I struggled so much, I want people not to struggle as much as I did.
Same with you and your purpose.
Yeah.
You want to be the person,
I
you needed.
needed. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that'll never get old.
No, it doesn't. Because as I evolve, then I know how to help you better.
Sure, but that helping those people, helping the person who you used to be, people who are like that, there's lots of people who are like who you used to be. Helping those people will fill you up for life.
Right.
And you're never done growing. You're climbing this
Right.
staircase, right? You never want the staircase to end. You never want to reach the island. You want to swim forever.
Right.
You're climbing the staircase forever, right?
Right.
But every time you take a step, you reach down and you help people climb up another step. But
And
you
that
can-
helps fill him up
of
and
course,
become more.
for life.
Right.
That'll never get old.
What's a
Bless.
question we can ask our listeners to ask themselves that will get them to realize their mission, purpose, passion, the clarity that we all have, that we want? I think happiness, joy, and fulfillment is a byproduct of something bigger. And I think that if more people had that true north, that thing, that mission, I think that they would get most of the things that they want as a byproduct. How do we ask them to reflect and introspect on, like, it's going to get clarity around what their deepest pain was?
So there's a bunch of things every time in your questions. I would split up happiness, purpose, and passion. So happiness comes from service, right? So humans are built to serve. You just are. If you're not happy, it's because you're not serving. And either you want to serve the world, like us, we want to serve the world. We want as
For
many
sure.
people as possible
Yep.
to hear this message.
Yep.
Some people, like my wife, would rather serve the 25 closest people to her. She doesn't have this giant mission. Not everybody needs one, but you need to serve. So you're either built to serve the world or the 20, 25 closest people to you. So if
Amen.
you're not happy, it's because you're not serving. Purpose comes from your pain. So you just figure out what's the most painful moment in my life, the thing that I never want to go back to, the thing that I'm hiding, that I would never wish upon my biggest enemy. And not a physical pain, emotional pain.
Right.
When did you feel cheated or insecure or vulnerable or scared? Like, what happened to you that caused massive emotional pain?
Right.
And sometimes it's hard for an optimistic, positive person. That can be hard going back and remembering the pain. The point isn't to live in the pain. The point is to then use that pain to
Perspective.
serve, right?
Right.
To help you create the happiness you're after. And that will never get old. Again, that's for life. Your passion is in how you go about doing it. So I have a process, who, why, how. Who is your one word, most important core value, right? So legacy, resiliency, that's always going to be the filter through which you see the world, right? You're not going to handle excuses, right? Somebody
Right.
says like, dude, what are you doing,
Right.
Then your purpose comes from your pain.
Working with him,
No, but like,
earlier today. Straight. When
but
are you
even
going to
just
prep for
knowing
Evan
that,
here?
and you want to build something that's going to have a legacy.
Right.
It's got to, like, this podcast has to live. It's not just something that's going to die in a week.
I just had a moment. That's why when we woke up this morning, you were focused on this interview. I was focused on setting up the next
Right.
3 weeks.
That's what I said. I said I'm doing my Evan research right now, and he was taking care of like emails for months in
Future
advance.
speeches,
Yeah,
future
yeah,
events.
This
future-
has to last, right?
That is
Yeah.
so fire. Wow.
And then now you got to figure out like how you guys are entrepreneur partners, so
Right.
like, how does that match together? And then the people who you bring on your team, they better be resilient because
Yeah.
he's going to fire them if they have any excuses for not
Right.
getting their work done.
Seriously.
And they better care about creating something that's going to last a long time and build a legacy for the whole company, not just an individual, right?
Right.
So just knowing that allows you to bring people on into your team, attract the people into your life, right?
Make better
Like,
decisions.
Make better decisions. And it's not that they're bad people, they just don't fit
Right.
within the culture you guys are trying to build.
Right.
Interesting.
So, in an effort to remove even more shine, again, somebody might be watching this and saying, like, Evan knows so much, or they might see you at a speech, or see you on YouTube, or you on a coaching call answering these questions.
Yeah.
That is the polished product. That is years and years behind the scenes. On a daily basis or on a weekly basis, like, what are the main things behind the scenes that you are doing that nobody ever sees? They only see the result of.
I would say, one, the amount of work that goes into making every video, the amount of research that goes into making every video, the love and care that goes into all of that. I'm a byproduct of everything that I've consumed and experienced, and that's been a lot. I've probably watched more videos than maybe anybody of successful people,
Right.
just in the nature of the work that I do. And then if I had a surprising, I would probably pick just the amount of care, effort, and love that goes into my team. It's actually a new series that we're trying to create of me documenting what I'm doing to help the people who are around me, right? When I'm with somebody, I see us as along parallel paths. So, like you guys, when we had our call, when I was arriving in Pittsburgh, that was supposed to end and kept going, and then I gave you that advice at the end. Why? Because it matters to me. Like, your success matters to me. I wouldn't have said that at the end. I said, hey, thank you for another episode. Let's go, right?
Right.
I'm on my tour. You're one of like tons of people that I'm talking to. But why go extra with you, and then why push at the end to say, like, you guys are capable of more than what you're doing right now, because your success matters more than it should. Like, I didn't know you guys from anything.
Right.
We just met. I'm on my phone, and I'm not even seeing you guys. But it's like, it matters to me. And so now amplify that by the people who are around me every day.
Right.
They matter to me. Their success matters to me more than their success with me. And so people definitely don't see that. The people feel it on my team, but I want to try to capture some more of that because it's not, I think everybody cares about their team, but like it causes stress and anxiety and painful moments sometimes because I care more than I should.
I appreciate you sharing that.
Interesting. I just want to say thank you again for challenging us, because at the end of the day, some of the people that challenge us the most are the people who do care the most, because if they didn't care, they wouldn't tell us to step up. Like if you didn't believe in us, you wouldn't have told us to do more.
Yeah.
If you didn't believe in what we were doing, that's just huge. So really appreciate that. So this is a perfect segue into this question. So you have studied and curated more successful people in personal development / success principles than anyone I personally know. And you kind of just alluded to that.
Yeah.
As you mentioned in the last interview we did, no one's perfect, and you don't have to like someone to learn from them. I remember that. That's like a cognitive bias.
Yeah,
If I don't like you, I can't learn from you. Okay.
The greatest learnings
come
are often
from
people who you don't like.
Right. That's fire. In an effort to remove the shine, can you please share something that you don't like about yourself that you are still working on?
I mean, the easy answer is lack of belief, and that's ongoing. That's forever. But we've kind of already talked about that. Something else that I don't like about myself. I don't even know if I don't like about it. This is hard for me.
That was my goal.
What's that?
To have it be hard for you. Like maybe there's something.
Breakthroughs.
Yeah, I mean, I default so much onto the other side of gratitude that everything that I am is a result. Like I'm here because of everything that I am.
Right.
And so I'm grateful and don't want to go back in time and change anything. One of the things I'm struggling with right now that maybe helps answer this question is I'm such a loyal person and see so much potential in people that I hold on to people who have that potential at the detriment of my business. And I don't know if it's the right thing to do or not. The guy who was in here just before you is building a marketing agency, and I want him to be my guy to build the marketing agency. I want to use him as my marketing agency guy. But he's far away. He's like another 6-9 months away from being ready to do what I need him to do. And I should go hire somebody else because it's hurting my own business, right? But I want him to be the guy. And I don't know if it's actually the right call. I don't know if I'm missing it. And I should go off and do my best with him, but if it doesn't work out, go somewhere else. Or it's actually the greatest thing of all time, and I need to double down on that thing and just wait out the 6 to 9 months, because then it becomes a lifetime of opportunity. So there's doubt. I don't know.
When you look back on, so I'm sure you've probably had this experience before where you felt that way. When you look back, do you regret it, or do you say, I'm so grateful and thankful I did that because of this?
I don't really look back and regret things.
Right.
I mean, I tell myself I did the best with what I had at the time. So there's never like, I wish I could go back and change that thing. I did the best with what I had at the time.
But how
I
do you
made
be
mistakes.
discerning about your future decision-making paradigm? Like, so because you learn from the past,
Of
right?
course.
So you don't regret the past, but
Yeah.
you do learn from it.
Of course.
So have there been times when you made, quote, you mentioned that I don't know what the right decision is. I have doubt.
Yeah.
We all live there.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And who knows until the future, and then we go, oh, okay, I didn't see that at the time.
I've always lent in on the loyalty part. I've always bet on the person.
Okay.
And it's helped me win.
Right.
It's like why I'm here. I have 24 people on my team. Like it's helped me have success. But as I was talking to the guy, so I talked to him today, but we had a conversation 2 days ago or something, and I realized if he wasn't here, I would have solved this problem already. If I didn't know him, this problem would be solved because that's what I do. I have this problem, it's going to be attacked. So why am I staying and waiting and all that? Because I love him so much.
Right.
And I really want this whole thing to work out together. And I want to be a part of his, even if he never works with me, just to know that I helped him get there. It just feels like so much more of a win than whatever economic benefit I can get in the next 6 to 9 months. So I've always lent in on that. But I realized when talking to him that I just care about him too much, and maybe I shouldn't. Like maybe I would be. It's easy to say of course, it's the right thing to do.
Right.
That's how you've always done it. You've had success, but maybe I should look at other options, you know? So there's that doubt. And I'm still trying to figure out what to do with it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, this is, I
One
really
of the,
appreciate that.
So you're working to solve the world's biggest problem,
Yeah.
which to you is untapped human potential.
Yeah.
Do you think that a lot of the untapped potential is really misguided potential? Like Alan and I use fitness as an analogy.
Okay.
I know a lot of people that are capable of getting in very good shape,
Mm-hmm.
but they've been misguided for so long that they think it's this or that or this when it's really certain fundamentals.
Okay.
So do you think that that's what it actually is? It's more misguided.
So I think everybody has Michael Jordan level talent at something.
Okay.
Like everybody can be the best in the world at something. Everybody. You are the best in the world at something.
Mm-hmm.
You either don't know what it is, or you do know what it is, but you don't believe in yourself enough to chase it down because it's too different than what
Yeah.
your parents or family or culture or whatever wants you to do.
How do we help people find that for them?
The starting point is belief that it is possible, like belief that you have Michael Jordan level talent at something. Because
Right.
most people say, yeah, I'm pretty good at this, but no,
Right.
like you're the best in the world at something. Like you're all time at something.
Well, you could be if you have the confidence.
Yeah,
to-
but that's
to-
in you. Like
right,
that's
it's in you.
Like, you
exactly.
are all time
Right.
at something. You've already got it. I mean, you got to work on the skill to improve, but that's already in you.
Are there tactical ways that you've used to figure that out within yourself? Like,
Well,
what
the
do you
first-
think
the
you're
first is
world
the
class
belief,
at?
right? The first is the belief that
Right.
you are great at something. And so that starts with thinking about what's perpetuating the misguidedness or the negativity or the thing that makes you feel small and trying to limit exposure to it.
Right.
Maybe that's your mom, maybe that's your best friend, maybe that's your professor or whatever. Just stop spending as much time around that. Or you watch Big Brother because watching a train wreck of somebody else's life makes you feel better about
Right.
your own, right? Like, stop that. And then just think about what gives you energy, like what makes you come alive. And that's an individual question. You know, for you guys, you're going to get in the car and drive from Massachusetts to Toronto, Canada to do an interview and then go home. You know, that's nuts for some people, but like it brings you energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also to the resilience and legacy parts, like we did that, right?
Right.
It's like we did that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And when in 5 years you're flying on jets to do interviews, like remember when we went to Toronto?
Yeah.
And we drove across the border
Right.
and right? Like
Yeah.
that's
And lost the internet in the middle of a mastermind call for
Yeah.
a speech
Like,
that's coming up.
That's it. That's the best. That's the best. The starting point, right? That energy, that's it. That's what you're looking for.
Right.
The starting point for most people is just eliminating or limiting access to the negativity in your life and exposing yourself more to the positivity that's out there. And like I try to do that through my videos, right? There's somebody, whoever you look up to, chances are I've done a video on them. You can go learn from them. It's going to be positive. It's never the top 10 stupidest things
Right.
this
Right.
person has said, right? You can learn from them. And hopefully that starts a trail of, okay, well, I learned from that person. Oh, here's another one, and here's another one. And you start to see, like, the more you're watching Elon Musk and Oprah and these people, like it starts to seep in. Or listen to podcasts.
Right.
Right? And so start injecting more of that. That starts to give you the hope, the belief that something is maybe, if it's possible for these two guys, maybe it's me. Like maybe I could do something too.
Right.
The thing that's missing for most people is just momentum. You're just not doing anything.
We did an episode recently on momentum.
Yep.
How do you get momentum rolling in your life or maybe your passion or your purpose? How do you get it going?
As soon as you come up with an idea, you do something about it. Not planning. Planning doesn't count because you're going to wake up tomorrow a different person. You have a bold idea. I believe that when you have bold ideas for yourself, your vision, your life, where you can go, those are actually the best ideas for you. And then your head talks you down from doing
Right.
it because you're scared. Because you wake up tomorrow and say, I can't do that. I said I could do that. I can't do. Who am I? No, I'm too busy.
Right.
Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
It's gone.
Right.
And so you spent the best energy that you had on planning, and then you didn't do anything. The best thing you can do is just go do something immediately in the moment. You want to work out? Somebody's listening and say, you know what? I'm tired of this. I'm tired of being overweight. I'm tired of being fat. I'm tired of being unhealthy. I'm tired of having all these conditions. I'm going to start working out. The best thing you can do is just do 10 push-ups. Go for a walk around the block, like anything. Instead of researching what the perfect plan is and like who to follow and what guru and what diet, because you won't do anything. You'll be overwhelmed. You'll wake up tomorrow and say, I can't do that.
Right.
Meanwhile, you just do 8.5 push-ups and your body's burning because you've never done a push-up in 20 years. And then you celebrate. It's like, man, I just did that. And planning becomes important, but it's not your first step.
Right.
Your first step has to be doing imperfect action immediately as soon as you have that little moment. So somebody's listening to this episode and they have an idea for something for their dream. Do it. Don't worry about, there's no perfect first step. Momentum is the first step. You could be doing almost anything. You want to start a podcast? Take out your phone and record, hey, this is my first podcast.
Right.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I have this goal, this dream, and I want to be a podcaster, so I'm going to take my shot. Post. There's your first episode. Done. And the next one will be better.
How many of the things that you're doing right now started as a thought where you just said, okay, it's time to act now?
Almost all of it. Almost all of it. And a lot of times it doesn't make sense. That's the problem.
Right.
Like you're trying to wrap your head around something that has to be felt. You don't wrap your head around it. Wrap your heart around it. Because you can create something new from here. Your head will talk you down because it's only logical, understands the world that exists. And the world that currently exists, there's no place for your podcast to be successful. You're trying to create something that hasn't been created before. It's not logical.
Right.
So everything starts from that seed of like, I feel this, and then you have to go and do it. So big decisions with the heart and small ones with the head.
My goodness.
There are so many questions coming up. I don't know what we have for time,
We
but
got
we're
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've often said that every public success we see on the surface is actually the accumulation of 10,000 tiny courageous moments that no one ever saw.
Okay.
Okay, and those tiny courageous moments are taking action when you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you just mentioned that. What are your honest thoughts on that phrase, and how would you change it if you would? And then the second part is, what is one example of something behind the scenes that only you know has actually made the biggest difference in your journey?
I like it. I like the phrase. I think you need to have things in your life that scare you. I think if you don't have something in your life that scares you, you hate your life. I think if you look at your calendar for the next month and there's nothing in there that makes you feel nervous, you hate your life. Because that means you're just photocopying the same day over and over and over again. And
Right.
humans want to grow. So for me, I find ways to push myself within the things that I'm doing. Because I still love making videos. I mean, I've done 6,000 something YouTube videos.
Right.
I still like it. But every time before, here's the story. Every time I get on the camera before I make a video, videos that I've made thousands of times, I get a little nervous. And there's 5 minutes of, I don't want to do this. I'm not going to do this. Yeah, I don't want to do this. Not because I
Before
don't
this
love
interview,
it.
you're like, let's go. Let's go
Yeah.
now.
You
Do
ready?
it now.
Not
Because I'm talking
I
myself
don't love
down.
it. It's because I'm afraid of it. Like if you procrastinate, it's either because you don't love it or because you're afraid of it.
Yeah.
So
How do you know the difference?
you listen to your heart. Like, do you actually love doing it? Does it give you energy? Like, once you're doing it, do you enjoy it? Once I get the ball rolling, I love it. But why am I afraid of it? Because I want it to be the best I've ever done.
Right.
Because I don't want to just do it the same way I did it last week.
Right.
That's easy. I can do that. It needs to be better, right? I want to grow. Now, it may not always be better,
Right.
but it's my intention, right? It's like I want this interview to be better than the one we did before,
Right.
And
So it
maybe
never
is.
goes away. That feeling theoretically should never, like, does that fear ever go away? I told Alan, it took me 160 episodes to feel competent as a podcaster. Am I afraid? Was I afraid coming here? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Does that ever go away? And if it does, what is that a sign of, do you think?
It goes away if you stop caring.
Wow.
It goes away if you're just going to mail it in. Because
Right.
you've grown, and how many episodes are we at now?
Right around 200.
Great. 200 episodes. You're so much better than you were
Right.
at the beginning. You could never learn anything and just keep doing what you're doing, just show up and ask questions, and it'd be better than all the work you put at the first episode
Right.
to get it going. But then you're not growing. You're not learning. You're not improving, and you won't like it. You'll get bored of it because you're not pushing yourself. So you have to bake in things, and this is where it gets hard when you start getting good, because for someone who's looking at you and saying you're so resilient, it's like, no, I'm not. This sucks, right? But it's like it's based in I love myself and I'm so resilient, but I know that there's 18
So
more
much,
levels,
yeah.
right? Like, no, don't tell me I'm great.
Right.
Right?
I just did my first speech. Evan, I don't know if I've ever been so scared in my entire life.
Yeah, that's
Killed
it, man.
it.
That's
And it
where all
felt
the
great.
growth comes.
Right. It felt great.
It's like when you're lifting weights, you can do the same weight. Like that 50-pound was super heavy, and now that's easy. It's like
Right.
you're not even getting a pump from that thing
Right.
anymore.
Right.
You have to up it.
That's the best analogy, I think,
Right,
for
Alan's
life.
all about it.
I love that. In the speech Kevin and I gave last week, very appropriate. since
very
you just talked
appropriate.
about
Strong
that.
work.
Right. I presented a quote that's guided me through my darkest times. You cannot see the stars during the day. They are always there, but sometimes it takes the darkness to see clearly that which we simply couldn't within the light.
Okay.
I believe we all have a dark side or a dark, quote-unquote, place that almost overtook us at one point. We alluded to that earlier. For me, it was alcohol. My question, in an effort to remove the shine, again, what's your dark place or dark thing, your kryptonite? And what are you doing, saying, thinking, and believing every day to keep the darkness at bay?
I just keep coming back to a lack of belief, man. That plus just exactly what we talked about in the last question about pushing myself. Everybody looks at what I'm doing and saying, man, you're so successful and you're growing, and like I wish I could have 10,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, and you're here and you're having such an impact. And it's all praise and love, and I'm so grateful for it. But I want to be told that I suck, which is the part of this series, but also to myself. I think you need to be your biggest fan and your biggest critic. I think a lot of times people are the biggest critic without being their biggest fan.
Right, and
You
vice
can be
versa.
you can be hard on yourself,
Right.
but that's only helpful if you also love yourself.
Right.
It's got to be foundation in love. Like, I'm amazing, and I suck, right? I suck. Like, I need to feel like this sucks, because otherwise you don't change. And I don't think I do that well enough on a daily basis.
I say that every rep is a report card. Some people only look at the Fs, and some people only look at the As. You have to look at both. I think people who tend to believe in themselves need to look at the Fs more than the As. And people who struggle with self-belief need to look at the A's more than the F's. That's just my personal belief. But
yeah, and and even within that, I don't think there's people who are only one. I think everybody's both.
Right.
At different times.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Right. So Alex,
With alcohol, I'm on the low end of belief. Sorry, go ahead.
Alex, who helps me run this school,
Right.
when he comes in, he says, I had the greatest class of all time. Right? Like, man, it was the greatest to teach salsa classes here. I had the greatest class of all time. I'll say, dude, that sucked. Like, there's 18 things you can do better. Like,
Right.
this was wrong, and this was wrong, and this was wrong, and let's go.
Right.
But if he comes in and said, man, I had such a bad class, I suck. Like, dude, what are you talking about? You rock. You're the best.
Right.
man.
Right.
Like, look at all these people that you've helped. Right?
The natural tendency is the opposite.
Yeah, that's why you perpetuate. People would rather sit with people who also complain about their
Right.
life, because
Right.
it doesn't make you change.
How do you find somebody who says that, Evan? Like, you did strong work on this, but you sucked at this part.
Man, you find somebody who can push you out of love, like, you hang on to that person.
Fire. Right.
Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
That's tough.
After my speech, everyone was saying how awesome it was. Kevin was
Yeah, I
the
was like,
one saying,
yeah,
dude,
man, you could've
because
done
I was
far better.
I was
Yeah.
literally doing it 5 minutes prior to
But-
people arriving.
But based out of love, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
you know
truly.
he loves you.
and his awareness of me.
Yeah.
Right.
And what he's saying is truth, and it's not out of hate or jealousy or anything else. Like,
Right.
that was great, but dude, like, you should have 50,000 people watching
Right.
you.
But I
Get
also,
there.
that's when we removed the shine
Yeah.
of the actual speech. I
Yeah.
knew what went into it. I know the behind the scenes. You could have prepped
10
this. You could have
times
done
better.
that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
His was
it-
done 2 weeks in advance. I
Yeah.
did mine 5 minutes before.
Yeah.
Right.
Not smart.
Yeah.
And I knew that, and he knew I knew that.
You're capable of more.
Right.
Let's
by
go.
far.
Right.
By far. And this has been great.
Do you want to wrap this up?
No, that's great. Good for me. If you want to see what the evolution of my website is going to be, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
People don't understand websites are dead.
Have you seen people do their entire website through ClickFunnels? Am I crazy?
It's a lot of work, man. A lot of work.